Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Washington, D.C. for a bilateral meet with President Trump. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard calls on the Indian Prime Minister. Trump says Putin and Zelenskyy want peace. Phone calls to both kick off talks to end Ukraine war immediately. NATO faces moment of truth on alliance's future, warns France's defense minister as US wants Europe to take security into its own hands. And at least 28 injured after a car drives into a crowd in the southern German city of Munich. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to the United States. Prime Minister Modi will be one of the first few global leaders to meet President Trump early in his second presidency. The visit aims to strengthen India-US relations, focusing on key areas such as technology, trade, defense, energy, supply chain resilience, and global security challenges, highlighting the depth of the bilateral partnership. During his 36-hour stay, Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with President Trump. This is Prime Minister Modi's first bilateral visit to the US since Trump was sworn in for his second term and places him among the select few foreign leaders visiting Washington within weeks of the new administration's inauguration. Prime Minister Modi is the fourth foreign leader to meet Trump in the White House in less than a month after he took office for a second term. He will also meet several members of the Trump's cabinet as well as US business leaders and members of the Indian American community. Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a warm welcome from the Indian diaspora. Members of the Indian community waited at the hotel to have a glimpse of Prime Minister Modi. Braving the chilly winters, members of the Indian community gathered outside the hotel chanting Modi Modi and waving Indian flags to greet him. The Prime Minister also reciprocated their affection and spoke to the members of the Indian community.
अनुभव जो है बहुत ही अच्छा रहा। ये कहें कि विश्व का सब कुछ मिल गया। मोदी जी ने हमें आशीर्वाद दिया और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जो कि इतने सुलझे हुए, इतने पहुंचे हुए, इतने कर्मठ इंसान हैं, जो लाखों करोड़ों भारतवासियों की दिन रात सेवा कर रहे हैं, ऐसे महापुरुष का आशीर्वाद पाकर जीवन धन्य हो गया।
बहुत अच्छा लगा। मोदी जी से हाथ मिलाया, मोदी जी ने बहुत खुश हो गया देख के मोदी जी को।
बहुत बढ़िया है। हमें उससे मिलकर बहुत खुशी हुई। इतना थक गए थे तो भी उसने टाइम निकाला और सब लोगों से मिले और अच्छी तरह से बात की और हमारे कंसर्न सुने और बहुत अच्छा लगा हमें।
We were waiting for him, so we got to see him very close. So I really am liking it. Like seeing him so close, it is really nice.
It's all worth it. Like 5 hours we are standing in this weather. It's freaking cold and you're freezing, but it's all worth it. Just one glance of him and he's so nice. Like, you know, we just love him.
US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Modi fondly recalled his earlier interactions with Gabbard. The discussions touched on enhancing bilateral intelligence cooperation, particularly in counter-terrorism, cybersecurity, emerging threats and strategic intelligence sharing. They also exchanged views on regional and global developments of mutual interest, reaffirming their commitment to a secure, stable and rules-based international order. As India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Washington, D.C. to meet President Donald Trump, DD India's Amritpal Singh sent us this report on what is on the table when the two leaders meet.
When the two leaders meet at the White House, they would be looking at trade, investment, economy, defense ties, energy partnership, security partnership, the strategic partnership, the comprehensive global strategic partnership with a focus on the Indo-Pacific. As you know, India is hosting the Quad Leaders Summit this year, so that would be key on the agenda. Immigration would be key on the agenda. There are issues on which there are convergences, so the effort would be to build on those convergences. On issues where there are divergences or which require realignment or reset or readjustment, say issues like tariffs. The two sides would openly talk about that. The White House press secretary made a statement saying that reciprocal tariffs could be invoked by Donald Trump on countries, though she did not name the countries. Of course, there are concerns in India about it, though India has not been named right now, but there are concerns. So I think the two leaders will be openly talking about that.
DD India's Amritpal Singh also reports on what Prime Minister Modi's engagement looks like apart from meeting US President Donald Trump.
His first bilateral meeting was with Tulsi Gabbard, who just got confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence, though Tulsi Gabbard has been an India supporter all through. Of course, the issue of illegal migration would have figured in the talks between the two sides, between Prime Minister Modi and Tulsi Gabbard, and his other meetings you mentioned, Elon Musk, though there is no official confirmation as of now. But yes, apart from the Dodge chief, he's also a business leader. The other meetings could be with cabinet members of Donald Trump's administration, but also, business leaders, where Prime Minister Modi would, convey that India, given its growth story, given the growth opportunities and the business opportunities that India offers, it is in the interest of both countries and businesses from the United States to invest in India and gain or benefit from the opportunities that a growing India offers to the world, and not necessarily at counter purposes. So I think he shall be putting out during his bilateral meetings that the idea should be to explore areas where the two sides can cooperate and not be at cross purposes.
Amritpal Singh reporting from Washington, D.C. Moving on, a US judge allowed Donald Trump's administration to carry out its federal worker buyout program as Donald Trump moves to overhaul and downsize the US government, handing a setback to unions trying to stop the plan. The decision could clear the way for Trump administration to swiftly try to wrap the program up, though the unions could ask another court to halt the program. US President Donald Trump plans to announce reciprocal tariffs on every country that charges duties on US imports. The president has already stunned markets by announcing tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports beginning on March 12th. Last week, Trump imposed an additional 10% tariff on Chinese goods effective from February 4th, with Chinese countermeasures taking effect this week.
We'll be signing reciprocal tariffs. The world has taken advantage of the United States for many years. They've charged us massive tariffs that we haven't charged them.
US President Donald Trump made phone calls to Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy as part of efforts to resolve the Ukrainian conflict. Trump directed officials to begin discussions aimed at ending the conflict, marking a significant step in diplomatic efforts. A report.
Donald Trump's calls to both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in separate phone calls on Wednesday as efforts to end the Ukraine conflict gained traction. The US president has set the ball rolling as he instructed officials to begin talks on ending the conflict. Trump said Putin wants the war to end and they discussed getting a ceasefire in the not-too-distant future. The Kremlin earlier said Putin and Trump had agreed to meet. Trump said their first meeting would probably take place soon in Saudi Arabia. Trump announced that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff could lead negotiations on ending the war.
And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and President Zelenskyy wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed.
Trump and Zelensky spoke after Trump's call with Putin.
Very substantive negotiations with the United States of America. I had a good, in-depth conversation with President Trump, and I appreciate President's genuine interest in our shared opportunities and how we can bring true peace closer together.
The development followed announcement by U.S. Secretary for Defense Pete Hegseth that Kyiv would have to give up its long-held goals of joining the NATO military alliance and regaining all of its territory seized by Russia.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. Chasing this illusionary goal will only prolong the war and cause more suffering. That said, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
European powers, including Britain, France, and Germany, said on Wednesday they had to be part of any future negotiations on the fate of Ukraine, underscoring that only a fair accord with security guarantees would ensure lasting peace. Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance will hold talks on Friday in Munich Security Conference. Bureau Report, DD India.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has stressed that Ukraine must be part of any peace talks and that a final deal to end Russia-Ukraine conflict must be enduring. He was speaking at the NATO defense ministers' meet in Brussels. The statement follows US President Donald Trump's announcement revealing that Washington and Moscow had agreed to begin immediate talks on Ukraine during a phone call with Vladimir Putin.
We all want peace in Ukraine, rather sooner than later. We all want Ukraine to be in the best possible position when those talks start, to make sure that they can be concluded successfully. And as also Pete Hegseth said yesterday, the new American Secretary of Defense, it is crucial that whatever comes out of those talks, it is durable, it is enduring. No Minsk III. We cannot have that again. We cannot have Putin again trying to capture a square kilometer, a square mile of Ukraine in the future.
Meanwhile, Swedish Defense Minister P. Johnson stated that Ukraine could still join NATO in the future, provided it meets all the necessary conditions.
Well, as far as I understand, the U.S. position from this administration is that this is about they're claiming that NATO membership should not be part of this political agreement. I don't foresee the NATO membership as such being off the table for Ukraine. Our position is well known and communicated, and we stand behind what was said at the Washington summit, of course, that Ukraine's future is in NATO.
Meanwhile, France's defense minister warned on Thursday that NATO faces a moment of reckoning on its future as the United States and Russia set in motion negotiations on ending the war in Ukraine. France's defense minister Sébastien Lecornu said NATO allies needed to think long-term and beef up their defense industries as Washington demands that Europe take security into its own hands. It's a crucial moment of truth, Lecornu told reporters ahead of the NATO meeting in Brussels.
People call it the most important, the strongest military alliance in history. That's historically true. But the question is, will it still be true 10 or 15 years from now?
On to Germany now. At least 28 people were injured after a car ploughed into a crowd in Munich on Thursday, according to the local fire service. The incident comes just days before a high-profile security conference set to host US Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. A large-scale police operation is currently underway near Munich's central train station, with authorities investigating the cause of the crash. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. The first part of Indian Parliament's budget session concludes with the new income tax bill tabled in the lower house. Goa's Manohar International Airport receives the National Safety Council of India Safety Awards for Best Service. And February 13th marks the World Radio Day. Prime Minister Modi calls it a timeless lifeline for several people.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. In the latest update in Israel-Hamas conflict, Hamas does not want the Gaza ceasefire agreement to collapse. Hamas said it in a statement that it will continue implementing the Gaza ceasefire deal, including a hostage exchange within the agreed time frame. Earlier, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that if hostages are not released by Hamas by Saturday, there is no ceasefire and the conflict will resume. Speaking during a meeting with military leadership, Katz said that the new Gaza conflict will be even more intense. On to Africa, M23 fighters and Rwandan troops pushed further into the Democratic Republic of Congo's eastern region. The advance of M23 rebels into East Congo's South Kivu province could trigger a humanitarian catastrophe in an area already housing thousands of displaced people, said Provincial Governor Jean-Jacques Purusi Sadiki. According to the United Nations figures, about 3,000 people were killed in days of violence that preceded the capture of Goma, the capital of North Kivu province. Hospitals were also overwhelmed with casualties and humanitarian operations in the city that were hindered. Non-essential aid workers had to be evacuated and warehouses were looted.
We are fearing a humanitarian catastrophe should the war attend this place. It will be really a big tragedy in the sense that North Kivu has a lower population compared to South Kivu. South Kivu have we are turning around 2,800,000 citizens, whether Goma is less than 1 million. So 2,800,000 citizens is huge. And the attitude of this population is South Kivu population resistance.
The first part of the budget session of Indian Parliament concluded on Thursday with significant developments in both houses of Parliament. In the lower house, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman introduced the Income Tax Bill 2025 and recommended Speaker Om Birla to refer it to the Select Committee of Lok Sabha. While in the upper house, replying to the general discussion on the Union Budget 2025-26, Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the goal of the budget is to accelerate growth, secure inclusive development and invigorate private sector investments.
The first advanced estimates from the NSO has said that India's economy will grow by 6.4% in real terms and about 9.7% in nominal terms. So the budget this year, we have kept our goals in such a way that we are able to accelerate growth, secure inclusive development, invigorate private sector investments, uplift household sentiments, and also to directly or indirectly enhance spending power of the Indian rising middle class.
The report of the Joint Committee on the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 was tabled in both houses of Indian Parliament. The Government of India said that the welfare, safety and security of Indian fishermen was of the highest priority. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha on Thursday, Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh informed that the issue of the fishermen is dealt with through diplomatic channels bilaterally with neighbouring countries. The minister said that the government has been taking up the fishermen issues, including the early release and repatriation of Indian fishermen and their fishing boats, with the respective governments. The minister further said that the missions and consulates in the neighbouring countries are making regular visits to local jails and detention centres to ascertain the condition of Indian fishermen and provide requisite help and support, including legal assistance. Kirtivardhan Singh also informed that 217 Indian fishermen have been apprehended by Pakistan, 98 by Sri Lanka, of which 39 are under trial and 59 are serving sentences. He also added that 28 fishermen are in Saudi Arabia and 4 each are in Bahrain and Kuwait currently. In a landmark development for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Indian Railways is all set to launch the much-awaited train service between Srinagar and Katra, marking a significant step in connecting the Kashmir Valley to the rest of India through a seamless rail network. The project is in its final stages of completion and preparations are underway for the grand inauguration. Visitors and locals alike are brimming with excitement. Many believe that this project will not only bring economic growth to the region, but also provide a convenient world-class travel experience. Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi flagged off the first train of the third Kashi Tamil Sangamam from Chennai Central Station, carrying 200 delegates as part of the cultural exchange program between Tamil Nadu and Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. The program coincides with two significant events, the Mahakumbh at Prayagraj and the recent consecration of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple in Ayodhya. Delegates will have the opportunity to participate in the Holy Snan at Sangam and visit the Ayodhya temple. The initiative builds on the success of Kashi Tamil Sangamam 2.0, which was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in December 2022, marking the first ever real-time app-based Tamil translation of the Prime Minister's speech for Tamil delegates. And next we take a look at what else is making news in India. Over 15.45 crore rural households in India have access to tap water supply under Jal Jeevan Mission. 11 states and union territories, including Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu and Puducherry have provided 100% tap water connections to rural households. A milk bank named Payodhi has been launched at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, New Delhi. The Milk Bank is an initiative of the Department of Neonatal Medicine, which provides free services for newborns, including counseling on breastfeeding to mothers, milk donation, pasteurization and storage. Goa's Manohar International Airport becomes the first airport ever in India to receive the prestigious Sarvashreshth Suraksha Puraskar at the National Safety Council of India Safety Awards 2024. The airport received the Golden Trophy under the Service Sector category. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his wishes on World Radio Day, sharing on X, he wrote, and I quote him, "Happy World Radio Day. Radio has been a timeless lifeline for several people, informing, inspiring and connecting people from news and culture to music and storytelling. It is a powerful medium that celebrates creativity. I compliment all those associated with the world of radio. I also invite you all to share your ideas and inputs for this month's Mann Ki Baat, which will take place on the 23rd. Unquote. February 13th marks World Radio Day every year to celebrate radio as a powerful medium of communication, education and entertainment. The day throws light on the significance of radio, acknowledging its role in connecting people, spreading awareness and fostering communication globally.
February 13 is celebrated as the World Radio Day every year. But did you know why is this day celebrated and what's the story behind it? Let's find out in this video. World Radio Day was proclaimed by the UNESCO General Conference at its 36th session in 2011 and adopted by the 67th session of the United Nations General Assembly in 2012. The date decided to celebrate World Radio Day was February 13, which is the anniversary of the creation of United Nations Radio in 1946. Now let's find out what is the aim of World Radio Day. World Radio Day is an opportunity to celebrate radio as a medium. It is a chance to promote international cooperation between radio broadcasters, to encourage major networks and local radio stations, to foster access to information and freedom of expression. Now let's dive into the history of radio in India. Broadcasting in India began about 13 years before All India Radio came into existence. In June 1923, the Radio Club of Bombay made the first ever broadcast in the country. Thereafter, the Calcutta Radio Club was set up 5 months later. The Indian Broadcasting Company came into being on July 23, 1927, but it faced liquidation in less than 3 years. In April 1930, the Indian Broadcasting Service commenced its operations on an experimental basis, and in the following month, Akashvani Mysore, a private radio station, was set up. On June 8, 1936, the Indian State Broadcasting Service became All India Radio. When India attained independence, there were 6 radio stations in India at Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Tiruchirappalli and Lucknow. In 1956, the name Akashvani was adopted for the national broadcaster, and in 1957, the Vividh Bharati service was launched with popular film music as its main component. Moving on to PM Narendra Modi's Connect on Radio through Mann Ki Baat. PM Modi has been connecting with the nation through All India Radio's popular program Mann Ki Baat, which was started on 3rd October 2014. It is broadcast on the last Sunday of every month at 11 am on the entire AIR and Doordarshan network. The 30-minute program completed its 100 episodes on 30th April 2023. Former US President Barack Obama had participated in Mann Ki Baat in 2015. And it is the only program in the world where the head of the government interacts with the people directly.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.